Ooh, I like this one. Number 2, Court, for you from Sean Guitarius on r/startups. What was your hardest learned lesson as a first-time founder? So he's got his own example.
Sure.
He read the books, knew he was supposed to keep 18 months of runway. Nonetheless, at one point, it dipped down to more like 12 months, but he had so much faith in his team, didn't want to let people go just in order to shore up the financials. But as a result, conventional wisdom in this case was right. Things got worse. Eventually, about 50% of the team had to be let go. That was this person's hardest learned lesson. So his question to the others is, what were tough lessons that you learned from your first startup? Sure. And what's the hardest classic principle of running startups to put into your actual practice?
So I have learned this lesson twice, maybe, like to, right the ship and, get the expenses correct. And that is very hard. So I empathize with him. Once you've been through it once or twice, you understand that you want to preserve the altitude you have to find runways to land and get more gas. So if you're flying between islands, you don't want to be out at sea and have to ditch the plane on the ocean. So instead of ditching the plane, you ditch some baggage from the plane to lighten it. It's pretty dark metaphor, but it is what it is. I would say, if you were transferring, iPhones from China to San Francisco, you might throw some iPhones overboard rather than all of them going down. So I think the other one is with talent. How to manage talent is always a hard lesson for folks. If you want to do a training program, do a training program. Invest in the training program. That was a choice we made here at our investment firm. If you don't want to do training, then hire people who have the skills, and just get out of their way. Both of these strategies can work, and they can work in the same company. You might hire very elite people to run finance, let's say. And you might hire one really great sales executive, and then because you can't find great sales executives or they don't match your philosophy, you decide with your top salesperson, I'm going to create a training program for salespeople and I'm going to do professional development. What doesn't work is hiring people who don't have the expertise and then expecting them to be able to perform like an expert. So when we hire researchers here, we use the term researcher, not associate or not partner or principal or managing director, the other venture terms. This is a hard lesson. You can't be upset at people who you hire to be experts if they're not experts. You need to train them to be experts, and you have to invest in professional development. And if you have experts, then you have to demand excellence from them and not be intimidated by them and demand they hit targets and that, they are self-starters, et cetera. And it's really about crisp, clear communication when you're interviewing people. I find almost universally when a founder tells me, or when I've had this situation, somebody's not hitting expectations, it's because either, one, two, or three things happened. One, they oversold themselves in the hiring process and you got duped and you weren't able to get reality from their references, et cetera. That can happen. It does happen. I see it happen all the time when people hire like this sales executive with press shirts and cufflinks, and they come across as incredible, but then they're terrible at actually getting on the phone and closing sales. The other is you saw the signs that this person wasn't going to work out and you just ignored them and you just hoped they would, kind of get there. And you probably saw that, Alex, many times at TechCrunch. You hire a writer and they sold themselves as something and they actually don't file on time, and okay, they misrepresent themselves. But then there's other times you enabled it. You didn't, cut bait. And so if there's any doubt, there's no doubt in hiring and firing, fire fast. Almost universally, when I knew something wasn't going to work out, I took too long to cut bait.
Yeah, people stay too long in relationships, jobs, and employee situations. Can I just throw in things that I've learned at startups? Because I've worked at a couple now.
Please.
Don't tolerate toxicity.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Like this is a thing that will bring down even if it's a high performer, if they're just miserable to be around, they will scare away other talent and they will end up by themselves with a lot of mediocre people around them. Again, Jason, it's kind of one of those things you can detect early, but you might ignore for the sake of a deadline or whatever. But it's never worth it. Don't tolerate it. I call this my no jerks rule.